2, 1. We are now live, so please don't say crevice. Oh, hang on.
Hey, wait a minute. You said it first. Ha crevice. It's great to see you, and I do hope that you are well. Welcome back to the Monday Club, the greatest online live stream for model railways, apart from What's Neat This Week, which is, of course, amazing. And talking of What's Neat This Week, we have one of Sir Ken of Patterson's regular guests on as our correspondents from the US, our correspondent who was at the Amherst Model Railroad Hobby Show, and that is James Regier, also known as being one of the top contributors to Model Railroad Hobbyist magazine, and the proprietor and lead designer, the only designer of James Regier's models. So we'll be bringing him in at about 1:15, but until then, it's great to see you guys. Hope you're all well. Hillside Junction Railway, RG Models 86, Peter Jackson, Cheadle Heath, Josh W's 5621, Ben Tullett, Flamcho 1, Mike Lane, TT120, Simon Trades Mother Railway, Josh from Double M, Richard Grutas, DJK 666, Joe Smith Online, Richard Swiderski, James Petts. We do approve. Tarocco 00 Railways, Jordan Hunter, Anthony, Awesome Bricks, let's have a look. Mr. Pal, that's Mr. Pal to you. Almond Bank Model Railway, Tim Shaw, Dave Rowledge, excuse me, Aaronville, Paul Grant, Andy Friars Junction, Yaharick, Chobberton Junction. Well, look, we've got a great turnout tonight, and of course, as always, everybody is welcome. Do please hit that like button. It's really important to show your love for the show, and consider sharing the show to social media. Oh yes, that's right, I'm back, baby. And
I need to say one thing.
If it's Wibble, I'm going to be very disappointed.
I need to say one thing. One thing.
Okay. So anyway, look, it's great to see you guys. And, well, we've got the Bachmann announcements coming up on, I think it's on the 14th. Really interesting.
Valentine's Day.
Possibly. Yeah, see last year's card for details. So really looking forward to that. Seeing, 4th, not 14th, 4th. So that's this Wednesday. So yes, Iron Horse Railways asks, did Rapido send a decoder this time? Yes, they did. So
does that mean that'll move?
It will move, yes, if I wanted it to. Just finished filming today the Rapido Fireless Andrew Barclay 040. It's a beautiful little thing, and it's so heavy. Again, they've been using depleted uranium to make them. They haven't, no, it's just lots of die cast. But really quite impressed by it, actually. It's a lovely little model. There's a lot going on. But we've got the full review coming on Friday for that. Also, we've got a few new camera angles. So we're going to...
Have we? My goodness. What have you been doing? What have you done?
So there we go. Just to show you. We do like to move the cameras around.
Timing.
So there we are. We've got the Bachmann Pennsylvania Railroad a GG1. With a rake of US outline cars, including the tank cars from Roker prototype models, and then some British stuff on the back because, well, where else was I going to put it? Is
that logo on the top meant to be moving?
No, it's not meant to be moving. Okay. It's meant to just be sat there going, hello, hello, how you doing? Hello, yeah, toot toot. So there we go. Finally got a camera in the place that I designed for a camera when I did the rebuild. Now, I did try and think about how to get the best views for you guys. So there we go. James Pett says, may painted things be well painted. Can I just say as well, I haven't seen Mark Wilson for a while. So has anybody managed to get that blown component back to 1855 for him? Because...
Maybe he's out waxing his DeLorean.
Oh, maybe his DeLorean broke down in 1855. But, Mark Wilson, where are you? Not seen you in a while. Krista Duke, big hello to you. There's, I'm going to call a degree of lateness on the proceedings there. I think we've got some latecomers, Gandalf.
Call us late, but okay. The Monday Clubber is never late to the wagons. No, Roddy, Heavy. They arrive precisely when they mean to.
Thanks, Gandalf. And yes, there are two Class 44s, actual peaks. Of course, the Class 44s, there were 10 of them. And they were actually very successful as a pioneering diesel class. Even though there was only 10 of them, they had so much in common with the Class 45 and 46 locomotives that they weren't purged, even though they were a class of only 10. So they lasted quite late, but I've got Bachmann model 44008. I've had that for ages. That's a lovely one with white wall tyres. I think it's Penigent. But then I also bought, in the Bachmann sale that's going on at the moment, I managed to get hold of, through Sawyer Models, 44007. I can't remember which one that is. I'm sure somebody will tell me. Evening to you, Mark Waitman. Great to see you. Hope you are well. So,
Monday Clubber is never late to the wagons. No, they heard it. They're right precisely when they mean to.
Thanks, Gandalf. And Summer Breeze Model Railway says small progress, but gained 13 subscribers in the last week since I uploaded the latest video.
Well done.
Wow. Excellent. And I'm sure I saw Brian Moser in as well. Great to see you. Hope you're well. So, anyway, I think it's time to roll VT.
Roll VT. Welcome to the Monday Club, your online model rail club for all the news, gossip, layout tours and more, with your host, broadcaster and model maker, Jennifer Kirk.
So we are back, and just a reminder to you, we've got James Regier coming on, one of the key contributors, not just to Model Railroad Hobbyist magazine, but also Sir Ken of Patterson's What's Neat this week. I think he's probably, aside from Ken Patterson, who's obviously been in pretty much every episode, I think James Regier has been in more episodes than anybody else. Really looking forward to having him on. He was, of course, manning the Model Railroad Hobbyist booth at the Amherst Model Railroad Hobby event. And I know that there was a lot of snow up there. Our correspondent, Robert Steers of Roker Prototype Models, actually said that they had a huge amount of snow falling. Yes,
I'd like to say to Robert Steers, I will get back to you. It's been a busy day, but I will return your call, don't worry.
Ben Tullett, oh, so sorry to hear. So Blackpool's Tramtown is officially being closed.
Yeah, I saw the thing about that. I was very upset.
So what are they planning on doing with it? Because it's an old tram depot, isn't it, that it's in?
They're probably going to knock it down or open a charity shop.
Yeah. So, yes, Warbler Productions, we will be doing a new camera wagon view. Now that I can officially say the Weir Yard rebuild is complete. I have done all of the Weir Yard rebuild that I was planning on doing. So every area that was screaming out, going, I need a rebuild, that has been done, and really quite pleased with the results. I've been moving some of the cameras around a little bit. So this is another one of the moved cameras. So you're seeing on your screen a little bit more of the running lines. Before anybody says, oh yeah, 08 has stopped. No, that is on the ABC shuttle. Yeah, RG Models 86, no respect or love for their history in Blackpool. I mean, Blackpool trams, they were last man standing for a tram system that didn't get fully closed down. So we've got Anfield Road layout in the loft. It's great to see you. Hope you're well. Dion Wollaston, hello guys, I'm still here. I've just got the Dapol Class 59 with sound and smoke, new tooling, and the Class 69 from Bachmann, the deluxe model. It's one of the best locos I've ever bought. I've seen a few people saying that about the Class 69, and it does make a few people wonder whether a Class 56 might also be incoming. Apparently, Ben Tullett says apparently there are plans to put an EV bus station there. Currently not demolishing yet, as the Tramtown guys are stopping to be trying to stop it getting demolished. Is it grade listed? I wonder if there's a route in there, but it's. James Petts says, "What's the story behind the 08 with silver grey coloured coupling rods that's been in some of your recent videos?" It is not a Class 08. That is, in fact, a Class 12. I have finally got myself a Class 12. I have filmed a full review video, but it's sort of getting pushed back a little bit because we've got the fireless locomotive coming from Rapido Trains UK this week. Next week, I'm going to try and put out, hopefully, another update video on the Weir Yard rebuild. It is now officially complete, but there are at least 2 videos that I can think of still to be put out, so there's still content to come on that front, and then after that we'll be looking at getting the Class 12 video out. And if you're wondering, actually, there are some noticeable but subtle differences between the Class 11 and the Class 12. And
For a start, the number on the side.
Oh yeah, well spotted, you. Well spotted.
Yeah, I saw it straight away.
Yeah, no
I
flies
can tell
on
numbers, you see.
Yeah, no flies on there.
Yeah.
But actually, no. Even though I had to look up what the differences were between a Class 11 and a Class 10. And actually, when I did the review on the Class 11, I had to look up what I was looking for the differences between it and a Class 08. And actually, there's quite a lot of differences between an 08 and an 11. And there's some differences between an 11 and a 12. The most noticeable one is those Bullied Firth Brown wheels. But actually, there's a lot more besides. Now, there's a little bit of a compromise because there was only 26, I think it was, of the Class 12s built. So, really quite a small class. It's surprising in some respects that they got their own tops classification, but they did. Never got the 12 XXX tops numbers.
You mean they weren't extra strong mints?
No, they were not. But it's interesting that Hellion and Model Rail have done the model of it. Not quite the exact dimensions. It uses the Class 11's dimensions, but the Class 12 was slightly bigger in all directions. But there we go. Right, anyway, just looking back through the comments. Good to see 87012 at Weir Yard, says Fat Wallet Boy. Again, that video's gone out. It's done quite well, actually. Ham Shackleton says, car parking space was desperately short at Blackpool, but if they scrap this tram town, a lot of people won't go there, so they won't need the parking spaces. Yeah, although the old Blackpool Central Station, a lot of that became car parking, and the approach lines and carriage sidings. I can remember as a kid going to see the illuminations, and that's where we used to park, on this huge sort of desolate gravel wasteland that had formerly been carriage sidings. Summer Breeze Muller Railway says, really impressed. Ordered some 6mm track screws on eBay last night. It was due on 2-day delivery with Royal Mail. Arrived today and looks like a courier was used instead. Yeah, there's a reason that Amazon's done quite well for themselves. The fast delivery is probably a part of it.
I want to talk about the illuminations. I'd like to just point out to my parents, well, my dad, if he's watching. When we were kids, and you said we were going to see the Blackpool lights, and we went down to Scarborough and saw the few lights that were hung from the overhead cables.
Yeah.
We did know the difference.
Yeah. Have you ever been to the Blackpool illuminations then?
No, they've done the other side of the country.
So we should actually go and do the illuminations.
Yeah, so I can say I've been.
Maybe should we do that this year? And we'll take your dad as well, so you can walk down and go, see, Dad, proper illuminations. Walk a bit further. Go, see, Dad, look, even more illuminations. Right, anyway, yeah, Ben Tullett says, even the Pleasure Beach is changing as some of the old rides are being removed. I hope they don't remove the railway. Yeah, DJ K666, I think, had the same growing up experience as you, yeah. Scarborough Peasholm Park Lights.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah. So there we go. So anyway, James Regier is. We are ready now. So actually, we need to dial in to speak to James. So this is James Regier from Model Railroad Hobbyist magazine fame. He was at the Amherst. Let me just turn myself down just a little bit because I'm deafening in my own ears. There we go. Right, so we're just going to get James up on the bat phone. We have already made sure that nothing communist is in the room. We have flicked through our copy of Guns and Ammo and had our milk and cookies, and we're ready to ride the trolley to Mr. Rogers' neighbourhood. And he'll probably shout at me a lot for that that whole bunch of stereotypes. Although what I will say is that one of the models that James has built in his time is a model of the trolley car from Mr. Rogers' neighbourhood. So just getting the line established. You might hear it running in the background. So hopefully this will go through. I think we're connected so I can see James on the screen. How are you doing, James? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I'm just... oh, shoot. I was going to get out a good microphone. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, you're coming through just fine. No need to panic. We've got you loud and clear. So it's great to see you. It's been a while. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing all right.
So,
doing all right.
Of course, it's the middle of the day where you are at the moment. It's about 1:15 in the afternoon. So thank you so much for taking a break in the middle of your day to join us here on the Monday Club. It is it's quite late at night here, but it's always great to see you. Of course, seeing you on Ken Patterson's What's Neat This Week, quite a lot actually. I think am I right in thinking that you've probably appeared more than any other guest on Ken's show?
Oh, I wouldn't say that. I think Mike Buddy has been to quite a few more than I have, and probably Joshua Barton has been as well. But yeah,
because I was having a flick through. He's got a wiki where you can look up all the people who've been a guest on there, and actually it reads like a who's who of all the movers and shakers in the US model railroad industry, and then there's me in there as well. But I think you've been on about 186 episodes, I think it said. Which is which is a lot. But of course, people might also know you from Model Railroad Hobbyist magazine. So could you tell us a little bit about your involvement with Model Railroad Hobbyist, and what exactly is it, and how would people find the magazine to read?
So the Model Railroad Hobbyist is completely a web-based publication. It's mrhmag.com.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially there's two parts to the publication. There's a free advertiser supported portion of the publication that appears each month. We typically have several main articles. Ken Patterson's What's Neat, where he goes into a deep dive with some project or another at his home layout. Then there's the electrical impulses that cover some sort of DCC topic or electronic project on a layout. Then usually there's a layout feature when we can get away with it. One of the problems, especially post-pandemic, is folks are a little bit more worried about allowing media into their house to film their layouts.
Right.
But we're working around that. And then the final article is usually somebody's project that they've come up with.
And I mean,
This month, for example, or this upcoming February article or edition, for example, will have an article about designing asphalt crown roads rather than just the two-dimensional rollout roads that you can find. Someone's actually figured out a way to do a crown.
Oh, right. So it's actually got the correct profile of the road.
Yes.
How different would you say the hobbyist scene is in the US compared with, say, somewhere like the UK, where a huge part of the UK scene, there's a lot of shows and a lot of people have portable layouts that they will take to shows, and that seems to be a huge part of the scene. We've got a lot of print magazines, but quite often people will go to shows specifically to see the layouts that they've seen in magazines. And whilst people do often have layouts like I've got around me here, there's much more of an emphasis on portable layouts. Is the same true in the US?
I think it's a little bit the opposite. That I mean, here our average houses have a pretty sizable basement or a sizable spare room where folks can set up their own home layouts. Now there are quite a few Freemo or T-Track modular operations at shows. You don't necessarily have quite the elaborate. Now, I take that back, but you don't necessarily usually have the elaborate show layouts that I've seen covered in Model Railroad Hobbyist, for example. You'll have what's called a Freemo layout, and that is you have a standardized module, usually about 3 by 8, 3 feet by 8 feet, and they have a standardized location for the tracks at the end of the module and standardized couplings between two modules, and then a bunch of people bring their modules to a show and put them all together into one massive layout, and then they can do prototypical operations on the Freemo layout. I've seen that done, but that's something big for folks that don't have the space for their own layout.
And I suppose that gives a great opportunity for people you can put these modules together in any order, any number of people. I mean, it's something I've seen in the UK, but that seems to be almost a much newer thing. I can remember going back 30 or 40 years, it tended to be people who were modelling US outline in the UK tended to go down that route. But I've seen more recently it's starting to appear with other scales and gauges and actual UK outline stuff. So it does seem to be increasingly more portable in the UK, but I think the vast majority of UK-based layouts that leave the home and go to shows like the Amherst Model Railroad event, they tend to be very self-contained. They're not intended to be coupled up to something else.
Right.
And in the US, is it... I assume that it's primarily US outline models that people go for, and I'm guessing that people who model overseas prototypes would be very few and far between, or is there quite a strong following for people modelling railroads that you might not see unless you went abroad?
There is there are certainly modelers of European railways. I've seen a lot of German railways modeled, and I've seen a lot of UK railroads modeled as well. Oftentimes, they're people that have been abroad and are modeling what they've seen, and often they're kind of like they aren't quite in the same group as the mainstream US models. Like it'd be rare, in other words, to see a UK train like running on a US based layout per se, unless it's a prototype like the Flying Scotsman was made a tour of the United States in the 70s, for example.
And also, I think sometimes people over here forget that there are some UK locomotives did make their way over to the US. You've got Dwight D. Eisenhower at one of the railroad museums, which is one of the A4 Pacifics that people would be familiar with over here. There's also a Terrier, an A1X Terrier locomotive, Wadden, I suspect that's at the same railroad museum. And there were a few others as well, which made their way across. There's one in... the name of the town escapes me. Somewhere in Kansas, there's a railway museum, and it's got a very incongruous UK industrial locomotive has made the very long trip over there, and you can actually see it on Google Street View. But here in the UK, there's very few US locomotives have made the journey the other way.
I'd have to look up that. I'd have to look up that museum. That's interesting.
But I've got a question come in here actually from Richard Knowles in the chat. He asked, how common is US outline TT, which is it's a new scale in the UK, TT 120, but in continental Europe it's been around for a very long time, and it's 1 to 120 scale. So in the UK it's been a big deal because being a new launching scale, it's come without any of the compromise baggage that other scales have had, where with sizes of electric motors in the past have kind of made them have to fudge the dimensions. But when you get out certainly to more towards Germany and Austria and Switzerland, it seems very, very popular. Is that a scale that you have in the US, or are there other scales which are very, very popular?
I mean, I think the most common scales here would be HO and N. So 187th and I think it's 140.
But it's 144 or something like that.
144th, yeah, not quite half the size of HO, but those would be the by far the two most common types here. The other one that's very common is there are very many people that started out with what's known as 027, and that's a variant of 148th scale, but done for three rail by the likes of Lionel and that sort of thing. Just about everyone got their start with Lionel. Sometimes a Christmas tree around the train around the Christmas tree. That sort of thing.
I think a lot of people perhaps, I know in the UK we get a lot of people maybe poo-poo some of these kind of like more toy-like or certainly Christmas-themed sets, but actually it's how a lot of people start their journey in the hobby. And, I think people forget that, when you're very, very young, stuff like that is very influential, and we need these people for the future of the hobby, and stuff like that is great for attracting newcomers, certainly young newcomers to the hobby.
Oh, absolutely. And you have but in that sense that is accurate, that many people do find that the Lionel is simply not quite accurate enough, especially with its third rail, to be good modeling, and so then they transition to HO or N, whatever they have space for and interest for. But I know every train show will have a modular Lionel layout set up, and usually with the trains rushing around at rocket speed and that sort of thing. So I think there's very much a tendency to even lean into the toy aspect of it. That it's folks that are wanting to have fun. Now a little bit more rare in.
Oh, I'm sorry. I think James's connection's just frozen.
No, ours has.
Has ours? We've just lost our connection. That's strange because we were. Oh yeah, I can hear you now. You just started coming through. Sorry, we just had a little freeze on the line. It was just for a few seconds there.
If it happens again, we'll have to turn the virtual camera off.
So, actually, 57305 Northern Princess in the chat said there's a British steam locomotive in LaGrange, Kentucky. I think that's the one I was thinking of, not Kansas. Kentucky, LaGrange.
Oh, Kentucky, yes, yes.
Which is you can find it on Google Street View. It's quite strange to just find it there. But yes, no, sorry, you were saying.
Well, I was saying that there are folks that do continue with O-scale 148, but then they switch to 2-rail. Of course, the challenge for that is it's twice the size of HO, which limits the size of the layout. But I do know here locally there's a sizable club that operates in an old train depot.
Yeah.
That has it filled with a huge O-scale layout.
But I think the same as over here in the UK. When you go up to the bigger scales, it's almost like a slightly different discipline of modelling, because you need less stock and less real estate, but you can get a lot more detail into the space. And
right.
Certainly, my own experience of O-gauge modelling is it feels very much that it's quite often very detail orientated and being able to do things that you couldn't do in the smaller scales.
Right.
But also, I wanted to talk a little bit about your 3D printed models. I know you sent over a load of pictures and stuff. And you're probably the first person that I really came across who went into 3D printing items in a big way, long before it became such a mainstream thing, certainly over here in the UK. I take it, were you an early adopter to 3D printing?
Somewhat. I don't know. Like, I think mini prints got started. Bernard Helen, he's in Toronto. I think he got started a little bit before I did, but I think it was I'd like to say December or November 2020 when I got my first printer, thereabouts, and then started doing my own 3D design shortly thereafter. So, but yeah, I've certainly been having fun with it, and it's only been much more recently that I've started actually selling my models.
I mean, do you see that as being very much a future in the hobby, and that it's now allowing people to create things which previously would have been much more difficult for the average enthusiast to be able to build for themselves? Absolutely. Like, there's one of the advantages of 3D printing is that if you want something, you can go out and create it. And you can then have that model and not worry about having to go and beg and plead with the manufacturers to make that model you've been dreaming after. Now the flip side of it is that 3D printing does have its drawbacks in that the parts do tend to be a bit more fragile. And they do tend to be they do have some limitations in terms of mass production. Like, it's not a very efficient way of producing something. That if you can develop the molding and tooling, then that's a much better way to make a mass run. But I think there have been instances where folks have made 3D models and then they've developed enough interest that the manufacturers have taken notice and then sort of taken it over and done it right. So it's almost like the proof of concept. It's like, hey guys, here you are. Look, people are interested. Please make it. And I suppose from the hobbyist point of view, if you need 1 or 2 bits for your home layout, it frees you from having to beg manufacturers to make things, or indeed scratch build things yourself. And in terms of persuading manufacturers to take up the mantle and produce it mainstream, then it does prove the ground for that. And over in the US, in terms of manufacturers, it's in the UK we've got some big names, like we've got Hornby, who I don't think are pretty much on the radar in the US. But then you've got Bachmann, we've got Bachmann. But then there's quite a few other companies in the US. Would you say there's quite an explosion over the last 10 or 15 years of new entrants to the market, as it's become perhaps easier to mass produce models.
Yeah. So at least at the last several train shows, just the number of people that have done 3D modeling outright, or computer CNC, cutouts, that kind of thing, has absolutely exploded. And you see the main manufacturers actually doing that a lot more, bringing their 3D models to the show, to then display them. And one of the advantages of 3D printing and design is that it does expedite the tooling process as well.
I guess, and also it allows you to be able to print up what you're planning and present it to people such that they go, actually, that's wrong, or this is wrong, before you've actually committed to cutting metal, which can, I guess, cut a lot of the cost out of manufacturing, because tooling is probably the biggest cost to making a mass-produced model.
Yeah.
I've got up on the screen at the moment, this is one of the pictures you sent over. Is this a case? We'd call it a traction engine. I don't know what you'd refer them to in the US. You sent a number of different pictures of the red, green and black steam road locomotive.
Yeah, so that's I guess we'd call it a case steam tractor. It's based off of a case 30, a little 30 horsepower steam tractor that someone had at a threshing show in Kansas. And so I'd taken a bunch of pictures of them. I always find those machines very fascinating, and it was the first 3D, one of the first 3D models I made, and has evolved a lot since then, with finer spokes on the wheels, that sort of thing. And recently I've designed it so that you can actually open up the smoke box and look down the flue pipes. As well. Flue tubing.
We've got that one on screen now, and it just shows actually the level of detail that 3D printing allows you to put into a model, which would otherwise be impractical or too expensive in a mass-produced model. There's a lot more flexibility, and you've also done a lot of farm implements as well. So I've just brought up here, we'd call these threshing machines.
Yep, so do we.
That looks incredible, actually. Again, so would this be 3D printed as a single piece, or would you have multiple pieces in that?
So that particular one, I think the various spouts, the chaff spout, the grain spout, are separate parts. The wheels are separate parts, and one of the reasons I did that, and I think the tongue is also a separate part,
right? Yes.
As is the loading ramp for it,
right? Yes.
And one of the reasons that I did it that way is to make it posable, so that you could either put it, so that you could put it into, so that you could put it in storage in a shed or just as field junk. That there's a lot of farms that'll have it in a hedgerow that it's just kind of out there rusting.
We have the same over here, and certainly perhaps not as much now, but I can remember in the 1980s it was still possible to find these things just rotting into the ground at farms.
And I'll see if I have here's a sample. The wheels are separate because there's a lot of the farm equipment, including wagons and that sort of thing, where you can totally change the era of the equipment by changing the wheels. So this, for example, would represent a spoked wheel with rubber tire.
Yeah.
Which would be 1950s and beyond, when they started rolling out allowing steel wheels to go on roads, because A, they tear up roads, B, they don't have the traction that rubber tires do, and so they're a lot more dangerous.
Yeah. And also the pneumatic tires are your suspension, so if you're on solid wheels, it doesn't hammer the machinery as well. Speaking from the
Right.
point of view, I've driven a steam tractor that was just on metal strakes, and it's all right if you're on mud, but the moment you go on an asphalt road, I tell you
It gets
what,
pretty rough, I'd imagine. Yeah.
yeah, if you have fillings, they're gone in a couple of miles. They just get shaken out. Looking further on, we've got we call these combine harvesters.
Yep.
So are they John Deere ones? The color scheme looks very reminiscent of John Deere.
Yeah, they are definitely John Deere inspired, and so I did a variety of different platforms or headers for them. The one in black there, sort of with the black header, that's a pickup header,
Right.
used in northern parts. That grain will often be swathed, left to dry, and then someone goes by with this rubber belt, which has teeth on it, that then sweep it up and pull it into the...
So there's actually subtle differences which the 3D
Yeah.
printing allows you to make changes to
Yeah.
represent machines that have been equipped to harvest certain crops and certain geographic locations where the weather and such like would make different processes necessary. Oh wow!
And once you have a few key parts figured out, like in this case, it was the coupling between the header and the main body of the harvester. Then it becomes pretty easy to design something new that will hang off there, because you can reuse that part over and over and over again in your different...
Absolutely, and also you can, again, like we said before, you could have the machine in storage in a shed where it might not have the sail or the clipper part on the front, or in transit where, or actually have it in the field where it's all rigged to harvest. Which
Right.
again, I guess the 3D printing gives you that flexibility that would be quite difficult to do with a mass-produced item.
Well, and that's one of the things that I've tried to do sort of with the 3D models that I offer. I try and make them versatile for, however someone wants to have them on their layout, whether it's in the field or whether it's, in transit, as on this car here.
So you can, again, that is just beautiful. And that's all 3D printed from the models that we've seen on the screen.
Yes, exactly.
And you got
Now
here...
this particular red tractor that we're looking at has a fully posable front end loader on it.
Oh right, so you can have that in the up position or the down position.
Down position, or you can pose it how you like. You got to be careful how you glue it, of course, because that'll ruin its posability.
Yeah.
But you probably want to glue it into position when it's actually on your layout.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't maintain the pose that well. But it was designed to fit this international inspired tractor that I made. But it'll also fit many other HO scale models of farm equipment.
So you can actually make up your own bespoke cameo scenes on a layout with it posed in the process of doing tasks. And so there we have it. That's with the bucket lowered down slightly. And then that's a trailer as well. And
this little trailer actually has a little pin right in white on the tongue.
Oh right, so you can
that secures it in there, and so that way you can actually daisy chain the tongues, the tractor or the different wagons together, or put them to the tractor, and you don't have the problem with the tongue falling out or being posed in the wrong positions, so that you can't do that.
Excellent. If people are interested in picking up any of your models, what would be the best place for them to find out more about some of the... I've just brought up on the screen some of the farm machinery is absolutely exquisite.
Yeah.
Some of these pictures. So where would we be able to purchase these from?
James Regier's Models on Facebook.
So they just go to James Regier Models on Facebook, find your page.
Yeah.
We'll put a link into that as well in a moment. Are you able to ship internationally? Because I'm looking at some of these; they are incredible. But of course, with farm machinery, a lot of the same designs will get used in different countries and enable UK modelers, continental modelers, as well as US and Canadian models to use the same equipment. Are you able to post these abroad?
Yes, I have done. The one thing that's it's an evolving situation. If tariffs develop, and as that develops and stuff like that, I don't know how to negotiate that very well.
Yes, I know a lot of companies in the UK have had exactly the same thing with products going the other way.
Yeah. But for sure, I mean, I've sent to Australia, as far as Australia and New Zealand, as well as continental Europe. I had a customer in Germany even. So that's one of the fascinating things. It's like, wow, that thing is going all over the world. It's mind blowing in a lot of ways. This what we're looking at right now is a Reaper binder tool, and this was a museum in Oregon that wanted me to make this for them.
I mean, this is I guess again, this is something that the 3D printing really does allow quite well, is the really intricate mechanical parts where you've got a lot of air gaps, a lot of almost spindly parts. You can print them with a lot more ease, whereas if you made this as a mass-produced item, that would be very difficult to actually produce and make it robust enough.
Yeah, molding it together like that, I don't quite see how that would be possible without having it in many small parts. That would be a real hassle to.
Yeah, it would almost need to be something like a polystyrene kit where you have to put it together from quite a lot of different parts and then still paint and finish. It'd be quite a fiddly thing to do, whereas I guess 3D printing allows you to produce it in a lot less pieces.
Right, and again the flexibility of it. These are the models that I brought along with me to Amherst to show. I've even done 3D printed cars, the rail cars. Those are drover coaches based off of a prototype that the Santa Fe Railroad built about 1931 for drovers transporting their cattle to market, and these would be over long distances from central Kansas to Kansas City, or from Texas to Kansas City, and the journey could take days. And so they had rudimentary seating on one end, bunk beds on the other. And essentially the drovers were accompanying for two reasons. One, to make the deal at the market, but two, to take care of their stock in transit, because by law railroads were required to stop their stock trains, offload all the cattle, get them fed, get them watered, get them exercised, and load them back on so that they wouldn't atrophy on the way.
I mean, I think it's something that certainly for people in the UK, it's almost difficult to comprehend the distances, because the US is such a vast country. So in that respect, the railroads are far more important for long distance travel. Going back, certainly even now, to get something coast to coast, it's it's a long way. I mean, the size of the UK would be like a very small state. We're like something in New England, and from our point of view, it feels like a long way if you drive from the south coast right up to the north of Scotland. But actually, compared to some of the distances in the US, it's nothing. I can imagine even to this day, the railroads are still a very important aspect of freight moving in the US.
Oh, absolutely, and they're this unit here is a beep. A portmanteau. I mean, I guess the answer to a Gronk. I guess if
So
you will.
it's like a small switcher for switching
Yes,
the
it's
cars.
a small switcher.
Mm.
This was a Baldwin VO 1000, and the Santa Fe Railroad in the late 1960s was wanting to rebuild a bunch of its aging end cab switchers.
Mm.
And it had Alcos, it had Baldwins, it had Fairbanks Morris. And these switchers, you know, one of the big problems was that their manufacturers had gone out of business.
Right.
Not everyone made the transition successfully to diesel locomotives.
Mm-hmm.
And so what they did with this, this was an experiment, it was a one-off. They took the VO1000, they removed the long hood, and they replaced the prime mover, the diesel engine in it, all the electronics, basically everything except for the frame, and they replaced it with a 567 prime mover from General Motors EMD, as well as the radiator. They replaced the original AAR trucks with Blomberg trucks, and the end result was something that looked like you were trying to fit 5 liters of water into a gallon container.
So they certainly crammed it all in there.
Yes.
Actually, some of the people in the chat, Ben Tullett saying, looks a little bit like we've got a Class 20 over here, and it looks very similar actually to an English Electric Class 20 locomotive. But I suppose the US railroads always seem to have been a lot better at sweating their assets, and rebuilding their locomotives in that way seems to have always been much more of a thing in the US. Whereas in the UK, it seems to have only come in comparatively recently, where we've started seeing companies rebuilding locomotives rather than just buying new every time. Is that a big thing in the US?
And I think it has been just simply because every railroad, until the dawn of the diesel age and a little while thereafter, sort of had their own shops, their own ways of doing things. And so a lot of railroads had their own rebuild programs. Now this beep turned out to be a one-off. They decided that by the time you do all of the remodeling required to make that beep work, you're simply going to be spending less if you just buy a new locomotive or trade in your old stock.
I think one of the things actually in the UK with the rise of emission control, I think what a lot of companies have found is that if you rebuild a locomotive, it kind of gets grandfather rights on the emissions. So you're not as hamstrung by what prime mover you can stick in it.
Well, and I think with the more recent environmental and emissions regulations here, they've sort of ended the grandfather clause that you can no longer quite rebuild the locomotive, that you must also update must also update the emissions for recertification and that sort of thing. And so you've seen a lot of these older first generation locomotives that just lasted forever, just kind of going by the wayside.
Yeah, I mean, we've had that in the UK with certain classes of locomotives. The Class 08, the Gronk, is probably the classic example. And it's only really now that they're starting to honestly think about replacements for such machines, which, in some instances, they're dating back to the 1950s, which is, it's quite old. But we've got a video you've sent here as well with... I think is this a quintet of Santa Fe diesels? Oh
yeah, this is just kind of a new power fest. 2 Rapido GP38s on the front, 2 scale trains GP30s in the middle, a U28 or I think it was a U33B on the back there from Rapido, and then 3 of the different variants of the Drover coach, and then a Class 1 Model Works caboose, or a way car at the very end of the train.
Wow. So, your own personal modelling, do you stick to a particular era, a particular geographic location, or do you have a much more varied interest in what you personally model yourself?
I think so far the amount of discipline I've been able to muster has been Santa Fe all the way. That is, the Santa Fe Railroad. I mean, these are from these cars here. Here they're being tested at in Deschler, Nebraska, on somebody's modular layout, backing through turnouts and that sort of thing.
And it actually shows that just because they're 3D printed models, you don't have to compromise performance. Because it's quite a challenge backing over all those turnouts for any long wheelbase bogie item of rolling stock.
Yeah, well, that was the intent. I wanted them to be fully compliant with the National Model Railroad Association standards.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted them to track well, and initially I designed them so that they could be hauled by a 282 Mikado unit that I'd gotten,
Mm-hmm.
and a string of livestock cars.
Right.
So I wanted it to be in consist and be able to hold its own in that consist.
Yeah.
And be detailed consistently with something that you'd expect to see coming out from Rapido or Walthers, or any of the high end passenger coaches that have come out in recent years.
Mm. And
so these all have full interiors and.
Time to time, unfortunately, our internet connection can occasionally drop out, but we are back. We've just got another one of your models up on the screen.
Yeah, this is an original configuration drover coach.
And
and we're looking at the bunk end, the one with the tall windows. It had had sleeping accommodations for 12 passengers.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, the level of detail on these really is nice. And actually, somebody in the comments did ask before. I just remembered that they asked, how did you, just going back to the threshing machine, how did you get that sort of kind of metallic silver colour on your models? What do you use for things like paints to get that effect?
Oh, that was just Krylon aluminum color paint.
Right.
Or was it silver or that kind of thing? And that produces a very nice aluminum finish,
Mm-hmm.
and if you or steel finish, if you will, and then if you spray that with dull coat a couple times, then it produces a very nice galvanized finish, and that's what I was after for that.
Oh, right.
For that threshing machine.
I mean, one of the problems that we've had in the UK is that the quality of the paints that we can get as modelers does seem to have become quite restricted, as they've ratcheted back on what you're allowed to put into the paints. And I suppose a lot of the pigments are based on metal oxides and metal salts, and they're the things that seem to be getting banned. Do you have a similar issue in the US with restrictions on what can be put into things like paints and glues?
I don't think we've quite had as many restrictions on the paints, but I do know that these were not from the hobby store.
Right.
I got these from the hardware store. This was from these were the full size Krylon rattle cans.
So the sort of thing that you'd buy to do things like car restoration,
or outdoor furniture, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I suppose there's always. I think sometimes as modelers we can get a little bit blinkered, and we think we just go to the model hobby shop. But actually, there are some great products out there which aren't aimed at us, but nonetheless are really, really great for getting the effects that we want.
Especially, you do have to be a little bit careful in using those automotive paints and the regular rattle can sprays, in that the pigmentation in the model paints does tend to be a little bit denser.
Yeah. And I
So
guess if you've got very, very subtle detail, what you don't want is that paint to flood the
you
detail.
don't want it to
It just-
overwhelm.
yeah.
But in the case of their silver and aluminum metallics, they tend to have very good coverage, like right out of the bottle, so you don't need to worry about that too much. Just go as soon as possible.
I've got another one of your videos here. So this is the is that the Mikado, the 282 that you were mentioned before?
And this is a Broadway limited Mikado that I actually fixed up with the lighting. I added firebox lights, redid the sound card for it, and all of that. And then again, running this is on Ken Patterson's layout, but I ran it with the Grover coaches there.
Right, yeah, and I mean, one of the things actually I wanted to ask you about, I know it's been a big topic with Model Railroad Hobbyist magazine, also Ken Patterson has obviously covered it a lot, but Ken Patterson's fire has been reported around the world, and it's kind of brought into focus some of the materials that we use as hobbyists in our homes, on our home layouts, and it was quite shocking seeing the video just how quickly his layout combusted. Has that changed attitudes in the US in terms of people thinking about fire safety more?
I think it has. There has been some concern about using foam on model, in your model railroad. I think it's been a reminder of some best practices, that kind of thing. I think using foam structurally is probably not a good idea, though it's wonderful for scenery. But if you stack up layer upon layer upon layer of foam, foam is a petrochemical that's porous, has a lot of air pockets. That's why it works great as insulation.
Yeah, but unfortunately,
that same characteristic makes it a very nice fuel for a fire. I
can imagine, yeah, and I think knowing that somebody whose layout is so well known, has been seen so much as Ken's, to see what happened there. You always think, though, for the grace of God go I. And I know for me, and I've seen it talked about in a whole host of publications online in the UK, so I'm guessing people are talking about it in the US.
Absolutely.
A lot of people are really starting to take note about what they're doing in terms of not just materials, but things like smoke detectors and fire extinguishers. I mean, Ken was very lucky that he had fire extinguishers to hand.
Although I will say with that, there's also been a number of people that, and a lot of firefighters in the community, that have stories about folks that have rushed in to fight that fire with fire extinguishers.
Yeah.
And not made it out themselves.
And that, I suppose, is the other thing to bear in mind, is that when these foams burn, they do put off a lot of toxic smoke as well. So I'm just really glad that Ken's okay. That it's been a big wake up call, and I'm sure he would have preferred it not happening. But I'm just so glad that he and his home are okay.
And I think a huge takeaway from this, I mean, obviously we want to do all that we can for layout safety, use those circuit breakers, use those frog juicers for your turnouts, all those things that can help shut things down in the event of a short. But a very important thing is that, that's not necessarily viewed it as nearly as important myself, is that you just never leave that layout unattended.
Yeah, I know, it's something
if a train is running, there's someone in the room.
Absolutely. And it's something that I found. I used to do things. I'd leave it running. I'd go downstairs, get myself a drink, and now I always push the button to stop the layout because of what happened to Ken.
It's one of those things you don't think it's possible, right? Like, I know my dad ingrained that into me when I was little. Do not leave that layout running.
Yeah.
Right? When you think it's about saving electricity, it's about not having a derailment.
Yeah. And
But with those, in this case, it was about not burning the house down, and it's like, holy cow, never thought of that scenario.
And it just shows, one moment where your attention goes elsewhere can have very big consequences.
Yeah.
But I also want to turn to, you were at the Amherst show, one of the biggest, if not the biggest show in the US. I believe you were there manning the Model Railroad Hobbyist booth. But how big is that venue? I mean, we're used to, there are some quite big shows in the UK, but I gather that it kind of dwarfs even the shows that we have over here. How big is that show?
It's huge. So it takes place in Springfield, Massachusetts, at the New England Fairgrounds. Mm-hmm. And this is the fairgrounds used for all the New England states up there, like that they all have their common state fair. Mm. And it takes up 4 of the display buildings.
So that's a lot of real estate.
These are very large state fair, arena type display buildings. Mm. And they're all full of layouts of vendors and and vendors from around the world. I saw people from Japan, from Canada, from Great Britain, from everywhere.
It's definitely very much an international event. I know in previous years I've seen KR Models from Canada go. I've seen Hatton's Model Railways from the UK go. And it does seem to be one of the go-to big events. And at events like that, what sort of a mix between layouts and trade would you actually find? Because in the UK, we tend to have quite a higher density of layouts to traders. But in the US, does it work a little bit different or the same?
It's well mixed between vendors and layouts. Here too, at your average, if you're at your average train show, your local train show, you'll have a lot more layouts than vendors. Although you'll have your swap meet, and you'll have these folks that have other people's used trains and consignment deals and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But these actually have all the manufacturers, and it's a big deal for them because this is one of the several shows during the year. Aside from this, there's the National Model Railroad Association show, which is typically in the summer, and then there's Train Fest in Milwaukee, which happens in October and November. But this is one of the major shows where the manufacturers will announce new products, and they time it for that.
So, being at the show, then I'm guessing what really caught your eye in terms of new announcements from manufacturers over in the US? Is there any real standout wow moments for you from what's been announced?
Well, so one company to watch really is Class 1 Model Works, and they are a new and upcoming company. They designed that caboose that we saw with the Drover coaches in those photos.
Yeah.
But as far as this was a peaked roof Santa Fe caboose, and you'll have to look at the website for Class 1 Model Works to get the full description of it. But highly detailed. You turn over the car. It has all the brake piping, all the brake systems, all of that, photo etch steps, everything you can think of. But then it also has the end marker lights and step lights that you can activate and deactivate with a magnetic wand.
Right. Yeah.
And that's something that's relatively new, that you have cabooses going to that level of detail, and this is one of them, and hopefully hopefully the first of many. They also have a new diesel locomotive that has a GP40
Yeah.
that has the radiator fans and the dynamic brake fans that turn,
Right.
and not just turn, but they are actually programmed to have them turn. The number of fans turning depends on the amount of load that the locomotive is under, or the throttle setting of that locomotive. And they have a dynamic brake fan that activates when you turn on the dynamic brakes. So it's really a level of bells and whistles that has been unheard of.
Zantek in our chat has asked, will the lights in the caboose be decoder controlled, or is it just off a magnetic wand?
It's off the magnetic wand, which I have a caboose that's decoder controlled and a caboose that's magnetic wand controlled, and I actually like the magnetic wand better.
In some respects, it does keep the cost down a little bit, and it also keeps it accessible for people who haven't gone down the DCC route, I guess.
Yeah, but even with the DCC route, that in operations, right, you have your locomotives that are all programmed into a consist. Now, normally you'd also then program that caboose into the same consist. Well, then what if you want to change directions of your train? Then you have to deconsist the caboose from the train,
I see
reverse
what you
its
mean.
direction, and do all these things. And here you just simply wave the magnetic wand and you change the marker light so that it's going the other way, and you don't have to worry about consisting them.
Right, I'm with you.
Yeah.
And what sort of prices are we looking at in the US? Because certainly in the UK, I think you always get a lot of gribbling about cost, and costs are definitely rising. But what sort of price points are we looking at in the US for models?
So, yeah, for this caboose, for example, and this is where people really start griping about it. They see all these magical things coming out on the caboose, but then it's $150 caboose.
Yeah.
And so people complain about that because they're thinking that the $5 or $10 Athearn caboose that they grew up with, is the reasonable price for a caboose, and now to see something that's $150.
Yeah, I think we've seen
look at the detail, look at the stuff this thing does, and all these things.
I mean, do you feel that new models in the US market are still offering value for money? Do you feel that the prices that things have become is still a value for money when you look at the detail and you look at the features that you get with that?
I think having done a lot of lighting features and a lot of that kind of thing on my own trains, I can say that if given the hours that I put into it, right, if it were calculated into an hourly rate, I'd be making maybe a couple bucks an hour, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it would be well below minimum wage. So in that, if you divide the price that you're paying for that new locomotive with everything installed, so I think in that respect, it's absolutely a value. It's you're getting a whole lot for your money.
And how healthy is the hobby in the US? Certainly in the UK, we went through a period where it almost felt like it was an aging population in the hobby, and there weren't so many new people coming in. Now, thankfully, that seems to have changed. The hobby has become more attractive to younger people, also to women as well. But have you had similar issues in the US, or has it always been very much a mass participation hobby?
So there it's a mixed bag. Like the flip side of the coin of having these fancy locomotives and having all these well detailed cars and everyone aiming for that. Aiming for the next item to wow everybody. The flip side of that is then you do have a lot of the entry level, if you will, manufacturers like Athearn that are no longer making blue box.
Right.
Right. That you can no longer buy that $10 car to get you started unless it's secondhand.
Yeah.
So there's sort of that flip side, but I think that there's still a lot of people that are taking interest in the hobby. There's certainly.
Sorry, go on.
I think. I mean, there were definitely quite a few young people at the show, and there's definitely a lot of interest that I've seen.
I mean, that was definitely going to be one of my follow-up question was what sort of a mix of people were you seeing at Amherst? Did you get a good mix of things like families, of younger people, of women? Was there a good spread and representation?
It seemed like there was a good spread. There were a lot of people, there were a lot of families there on Saturday. Now normally at our shows here, they last a weekend, so you have Saturday, which is often the hobby enthusiasts and the people looking to make a deal, and then you have Sunday, which is the stroller day, where you have families coming through and the kids can see trains.
Yeah, it's a bit like that in the UK, the Sunday being a little bit more family orientated.
This last weekend in Amherst, I think we had both combined into one day.
And I know you had a lot of snow as well. Did that put a crimp on proceedings? How were people coping with the weather?
So I haven't seen the total numbers for the show yet. I do know it did create a nuisance for travel to and from the event, but I do know that Sunday was almost a ghost town.
Right.
Like that was a day when manufacturers even could sort of leave their booths, hang out with each other, see what everyone else was doing and that sort of thing. And it was a social event for the vendors, which is something you don't see that often, that they have time to do that.
Yeah.
So on the one hand, it was horrible for business. On the other hand, that was kind of a neat opportunity in itself.
Yeah.
But the numbers on Saturday were pretty large. And I'd say even larger than they'd normally be.
I mean, that is really good. It's a good sign that the hobby is very buoyant over there. And going forward, what can we see from you? What future plans have you got in terms of modelling, model railroad hobbyist? And are you going to be on What's Neat this week anytime in the near future?
Well, there's some traveling coming up on my part. We're going to a family member's wedding. That's in Dominican Republic here in about a week. So probably before the end of February, I'm not going to have much time to go to What's Neat this week. But certainly future plans will include that, and I'll continue editing at the magazine.
Excellent.
And upcoming plans, one of the things I've been wanting to work on has been adding hydraulic hoists to dump trucks and that sort of thing.
Right. Yes.
For example, and I'll just bear with me a second. I'll grab this model here. So you have these HO scale grain trucks.
Yeah.
And they're designed to be stationary. Their boxes are just resting there. And I've been thinking, since I can design that front end loader that's posable, could I put a hoist into that dump truck, have it posable so that you can actually have it dumping grain or dirt or whatever.
Right. Yes.
And so that you can make little vignette scenes where it looks like something's actually happening.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, one of the things that I suppose you could do is if you can have a tube and a rod that you can then use to simulate the hydraulic ram that would have lifted it, then you could quite probably be able to then pose it in a variety of different positions and give a lot more flexibility to the model. And,
So these are all the little HO scale hydraulic rods and tubes.
so there we are.
And all of that to that floater. Yeah.
So you're way ahead of me on that. So that
Yeah.
I mean, I'm really interested to see how that turns out, actually. And I guess that's something that people will be able to follow on Model Railroad Hobbyist magazine. Is that something that we might see written up in the future?
Well, that'll be maybe in the future. I've often found that, you know, I spend so much time editing and with my head in that realm that, you know, the creating part of it doesn't necessarily get written up from my end as much. But you'll see it on my Facebook page,
So
James Regier's Models.
So anybody wants to keep abreast of developments with James Regier Models, do check out his Facebook page and click to follow that to keep informed. And also, everybody, do check out Model Railroad Hobbyist magazine's website. And if anybody wants to have a look at contributing, I noticed when I went and had a look at the website, it was inviting people to kind of pitch articles. What sort of articles are you actually looking for from contributors?
So, all kinds, really. I mean, we're looking, if you've come up with a neat project that has turned out well, with scenery or with electronics for your layout. If you have a new product that you've discovered and that you think does a better job than the old ones, if you write that up in an article, we'll edit it and get it published. And the owner of the magazine, Joe Fugate, does pay for the articles that we publish. So it's a good way to earn a little bit of extra for the hobby.
And does it need to be US orientated with US models, or do you feature things from around the world?
Well, we actually have. So one of the article series, there was a couple articles in this series that it was on about a mining railroad in Australia.
Right.
And as a matter of fact, it was a narrow gauge railroad that was a display layout for different shows in Australia, and just showing how they figured out the machinery for this little layout and how they had it operating, for 8 hours at a show with 2 operators.
Right. Oh, excellent.
So there is a whole range of interests. We've definitely had I think UK style show layouts as well. So that's anything that interests you or any project, I think we'd be interested in considering. Now, one thing that I should mention, there's 2 sides to the magazine. One is the advertising supported side that's for free, and then there's a subscription. Set of articles each month called Running Extra, and I think right now if it's not the rate right now, there's often the sale rate for $2.99 a month. That'll get you access to Running Extra, as well as Train Masters TV, which is a series of videos of layout tutorials and that sort of thing.
Excellent. Well, look, thank you so much for coming on today and giving up your time. It's always a pleasure to chat with you. And I think this is the first time we've sort of chatted, at least face-to-face, outside of being on What's Neat This Week together. So it's been really great to just have a one-on-one chat and go through all of those different things. And thank you so much for sharing with us the pictures of your models as well. Some great stuff there. And definitely a lot of amazing interest. And like we said before, if people want to check out James's models, check out his Facebook page, and also check out Model Railroad Hobbyist as well. We're going to put some links into the chat. But look, thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to let you get on and enjoy your afternoon. It's always a pleasure. And do give my best to Ken when you see him next. And what we're going to do is I will try and get sent over. We've got some special badges for contributors to the show, I'll try and get some sent over because I need to send Ken one as well. I don't know how long it will take to get to you, but we'll get that sent, and hopefully you'll have a Monday Club badge to wear with pride. But thank you so much, James, and you take care, and I'll speak to you later. So thank you very much.
Okay, have a nice evening.
You too. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
So that was James Regier, everybody, and really great to go through some of the projects that he's been working on, and it's always a pleasure, plus getting a little bit of an insight on the Amherst Model Railroad Hobby Show, which sounds actually like, when you say it talking about 4 halls, all I could think was, imagine Warnerley at the NEC, and then have 4 times that. That's the kind of level that we're going to be talking. So I've tried to keep abreast of some of your comments as they come in. It's quite difficult when you've got somebody on the video line to keep an eye on comments as they're coming in. Anthony Hill says, thanks for coming on, James. Enjoyed hearing from you. Peter Jackson Cheadle Heath is liking the farm machinery. Ruben Ashwell says, lovely to hear from James Regier on here tonight. That show sounds epic, says DJK666. Absolutely, yes. Amherst is a show that I've been meaning to try and get to for a little while.
We can't.
Unfortunately, at the moment, the current management of the US doesn't like people like us.
No,
but
they literally would not allow people that fit our characteristics into that country at the moment.
Apparently, I'm a terrorist. But there we go. James Regier's model says, it was a pleasure. Take care, everyone. Look, take care, James, and we'll get some badges sent out to you. We've got the new colour. We have paid the invoice, so there's a Monday Club badge update. We have paid the invoice.
I paid it the day I got it.
So we're waiting for delivery. But when they arrive, we will let you know. And the royal purple ones will go on sale. And the Caledonian blue ones are for guests. And we will be sending a few out to previous guests, which we were hoping to have the badges ready to give to, but haven't been able to. We will get one in international post to James Regier, and we'll also send one for Ken Patterson as well.
Hopefully they won't be hit with tariffs. I'll mark them as gifts.
Yeah, either gifts or commercial items for review, I think is possibly the thing to do. But there you are, Fly with Channel 1, thank you so much. Get your Monday Club badges while stocks last. Yeah, RG Models 86. Our shows, there are some big ones. The Great Electric Train Show, Model Rail Scotland, Warnerley at the NEC, and Ali Pali at Alexandra Palace. These are huge shows by UK standards, but certainly, you know, if you go to places, I think is it Dusseldorf in America?
Dusseldorf's in America. Didn't you do geography?
Stop it. In Germany, there's some big trade shows, but in the US, Amherst is one of the, if not the biggest. Model Rail Scotland is due at the end of this month. Doncaster, which is this coming weekend. And yes, Raymond Legs, right, the GG1 is going around. And we've put that on in honour of our American viewers, and in particular, James Regier knew he was coming on. So we've got a Bachmann GG1. It is with sound, so I can give a hoot with my hooter.
So that's what's been going off all day while I was at work.
Yeah, I did have to test it. But we've got an assortment of US cars behind it, including some of the Roker prototype models tank cars. The firefighting car is the first in line, and then the ATSF tank cars. We've got 4 of those behind that as well. There really are some amazing presents with US outline models. One of the things I do want to do at some point is do a little bit of US modelling, but I've got to do that Javanese sugarcane railway first. Right, let's go for a different angle. Let's have one of the new angles.
So we keep getting asked, are you going to Model Rail Scotland?
Unfortunately not for Model Rail Scotland. It is a long way from here. You're talking about probably a 4-hour drive from where I am up to Model Rail Scotland. And, you know, you can't do that in a day, which then leads to, you know, you've got to stay over. It is a 3-day event, so if you go for the full 3 days, it can become quite expensive. And I've got to ration my time. Unfortunately, so many commitments, not a lot of time. Raymond Legg says, the Pennsylvania Railroad patented a lot of patterned a lot of their steam locos after British designs, and even had a smaller loading gauge than some of the other US railroads. Griffey says, "Ooh, peri peri chicken and natted." I think that should be battered chips. Get in my belly. Richard Gruter says, "Get the train." Actually, one of the things that Sir Kenneth Patterson did recommend was taking the train, or like flying into America to go and visit, but actually take the train for the last leg of the journey.
Of course, yes.
So, like, go into somewhere like Chicago O'Hara Airport and then catch the train from Chicago to St. Louis. Now, we've got here, these are the Model U crew. Are they dry?
Yeah.
So they are totally dry. Whilst we've been doing that interview with the wonderful James Regier, the Cupboard Monkey has been painting up a crew for the fireless locomotive that I've just done a review on from Rapido Trains UK. So these are from Model U. We purchased these, actually went and visited Sawyer Models. Where did we go? Was it yesterday or the day
Saturday.
before? On Saturday, that was it. And they're already painted up here by our very own Cupboard Monkey. And we're going to be fitting those to the Rapido Trains UK Andrew Barclay fireless locomotive. Really lovely model. You'll get the full review of that, including DCC fitting, on Friday. So one to look out for. I know a lot of people have been getting theirs coming through. What? You keep changing back to that view. I'm going to press another button. There you go.
No wonder the cameras don't work. You confuse everything.
Everything was fine until you went.
Everything was fine until you started pressing all the buttons.
Andy Fry's Junction says you didn't bring any biscuits though. It was a spur of the moment trip.
To be fair, we didn't even know where we were going until we set off.
Oh, Darren Watson reminds me that they're late, but also a lot of other people may have sneaked in during the James Regier interview.
Monday lover is never late to the wagons. No, early. They're right precisely when they mean to.
Thanks, Gandalf. Cameron Patterson says, "Good night all from Glasgow," and good night to you, Mr. Flymo, Mr. Hamshack, and Peter J, and Charlie at Partick Hill. So, look, you take great care of yourself, and we'll see you next time. Yeah, RG Models 86 says, "I got my fireless locomotive last week." Actually, technically, I got mine last week.
I offered to rush the edit on the review, but you said you wanted to take a bit more time.
I was waiting for the decoder to arrive. So that, I mean, if you want to rush the edit on it, that's fine. But
I'm going to have it ready for Friday.
Excellent. Darren Watson says, "Just busy working in taxi. Sorry, look, don't worry about it. Never apologise. You got to earn a living." Ben Davis says, "Hi, seen you back on Facebook. Is that true, Jennifer?" Yes, tentatively come back. Had a lot of issues with bullying, defamation, harassment.
Do you want to name them?
Not right now. But because there's a police investigation ongoing, we've had to make a report to the police. So that is currently ongoing. We've submitted a dossier with lots of evidence, screen grabs, that kind of thing. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of people think they can, hide on social media behind a keyboard. But it's you've got to remember to talk to people and treat people how you would in real life. So I am tentatively back on Facebook. I've actually kind of enjoyed having a couple of weeks off Facebook.
I recommend, for the moment at the very least, that you don't put it on your phone. Don't have Facebook on your phone.
I haven't.
And just keep that distance.
Yeah, I've got to do a convoluted route to actually get into Facebook. And what I've also done is I've blocked one account, and I suspect that one account is controlling a lot of sock puppet accounts. And
Wouldn't surprise me.
So far, all the posts I've made, I've had 0 troll accounts turn up, and that suggests to me that by blocking an account and therefore all the other connected accounts, what I found is the Puppet Master. But there we go. Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, Griffey says, "I never have any social media on my phone." That is probably the best way to go.
The amount of evidence that we've sent to the police, by the way, I had to upload it to a Google Drive.
Yeah.
It's 6.5 gigabytes.
Yes, because we don't make unsubstantiated claims. We only claim what we can evidence. Yeah, Richard Knoll says, I've blocked Twitter and X on my computer. And it's interesting, actually. A lot of people, including a lot of manufacturers and retailers, have approached me in private and said, it's like Facebook, but also Twitter, Instagram is becoming so toxic. I think it's something that as a community, we really do need to take a stand and be prepared that when you see something, when somebody is being an utter douche to somebody online, as a community, we need to say, no, behave yourself. That's not acceptable. So there we are. Anyway, Andrew Moy Jones says, my mental health has not been the best with the doom and gloom in the world at the moment. Yeah, it's not a great time, it must be said. But that's why model railways and this hobby, it should be our fortress of solitude. Quite honestly with you, it should be our fortress of solitude, somewhere fun that we can go away from the issues of the world at large. And unfortunately, there are some people who like to make it a miserable place.
I'm going to suggest one major thing for anyone who's having trouble with the way the world works right now.
Mm-hmm.
Do what I've been doing. Stop watching the news. Stop reading stuff like BBC News or anything like that. And just concentrate on your hobbies and the things you like. It doesn't have to be forever, but if you take a break from the constant barrage of bad news, you feel better after a while, and you can actually refresh yourself.
Yeah, and I think I don't want to go on at great length about this, so I'm going to make a final comment on this. And I think anything that's using an algorithm to decide what to show you is actually either by design or by accident. It's effectively rage baiting you.
It's by design.
Because that's how it gets you to spend more time interacting with it. Yeah. And that's not good for anybody. And I would suggest, don't put yourself in a position where you're having your chain yanked, because all it does is mess up your mental health. Yeah, Simon Trains Mother Railway says it's why I scaled back on Twitter, as it was just showing stuff that I didn't want to see, like riots. Absolutely. But, on Facebook, there's a lot of great groups there. And one of the things that I've found is that if you stick to the groups that are very specifically orientated towards your hobby, then by and large, you should be all right. But, don't be afraid. If somebody is being a bully, report it to the admins. We need to make sure that these online groups are a safe space. Yeah. And a lot, can I just say, a lot of the admins in these groups are really, really good at keeping on top of things. And quite often, you don't even see the nasty people. You just get a message saying, we've had to boot somebody for doing this. This is not acceptable in the group. Kingfisher, that is actually a great thing to do. As though I have issues with my health at the moment, I decided to cheer myself by buying new model trains. That is a great idea, and one of the things in the news is that there's a big Bachmann sale on at the moment. You'll find this at any model shop that stocks Bachmann. You can order the items through your local model shop to support them, or indeed, I did share today, there's a sale going on at TMC through to midnight, and it does appear to include some of their special editions. So you might want to dip in, for example, the G5, and I can't say this more highly, the G5 is an excellent locomotive. It is exclusive to TMC, and it's well worth getting one. At the moment, I think the prices, they're under £120, and what you're getting is a modern, fully tooled from the ground up 044 Northeastern Railway locomotive in a variety of liveries from them, and they really are a great locomotive. So Livesteam Nick says, I spent 2 hours today absorbing the new Hornby catalogue. No problems, no intrusions from the outside. It goes to say, actually, there's still a place in this world for print magazines, because you don't get the douchery that you get online. You read a print magazine, and by and large, it's just like, this is pure, unadulterated, my hobby, without the garbage that I can do.
Almost like curated content is the way forward.
Yeah, and it goes back to what I was saying about some of the Facebook groups. The hobby-orientated Facebook groups are actually a good, safe space, and we need to work to keep them that way. Malco
Absolutely.
Blue says, Bachman Blue Peak sound fitted, 176 squids, must get one. Yes, and can I just say that I got some recent stuff. I'm going to show you some of these because I was quite chuffed with this.
Well, while you do that, I'm going to pop off and find the Airfix catalogue.
You're going to pop off. Pop, pop. Oh, that's going to make a mess. Would you shampoo the mark you left when you popped off on the ceiling?
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, I honestly don't know where that came from. Right, so one of my purchases, and I haven't decided yet whether there's going to be a review or not. I don't want to end up going down that rabbit hole of reviewing every single thing I get. So, may or may not, this is the EFE Rail Adams 02 tank locomotive. This was originally produced by Kernow Model Centre as an exclusive, and then it's had a rerun in the EFE Rail range, and this is one of the EFE Rail ones. And this livery is absolutely exquisite. The London and South Western Railway, it's kind of like a very light green. I can't remember, it's like Uri green or something like that. But this, and it runs absolutely perfectly. There's not really a lot of space in here, so I haven't put a stay alive, but actually it runs like it doesn't need one. So I'm really quite pleased with this. I think they did do some of the other liveries. It's not just this livery, but this livery is well worth getting, hint, hint. I also got a Ginty, and I've seen the Ginties advertised. They've got an LMS one and a BR Black one. The BR Black one is actually the example that's preserved, and I think it's the East Lancs Railway. That is a really good buy, and even if you're modelling the more modern scene, that is a preserved steam locomotive, so it's still in keeping with the now. James Petts, of course you approve of pre-grouping locomotives. Wouldn't have it any other way. Yeah, Harrick says, I see Pico have a new catalogue this year as well. They are 80 years old. Oh, wow. And where would we be without Pico? Certainly in the UK, and I suspect to some degree in the US, if you buy track, you're buying Pico track. They have made an immense contribution to our hobby, and definitely for the range of track really is unequaled in any other range. I mean, I know there are other track manufacturers, but when it comes to robust, reliable, and comprehensive ranges, then Pico has got you covered. And I think, Paul Grant says, is it 47298? I think it is. Well, hold on a moment. Let me just see. 47298. Yes, it is. And this is the. It's got a Next 18 socket, space for a speaker if you want to go down the sound route. There's actually a reasonable amount of space in this, and that was under £100. So really, that was actually, for me, I saw it on the list and I thought, would be rude not to get one at that price, quite frankly. Really was a great price. Running 4 trains on my layout, says Ben Davis. Boo!
You're running 4 track?
I've got 6 at the moment. I can run 7, but one's been quite poorly behaved. So I didn't put it on whilst we were talking to James Regier because I didn't want the distraction of it tripping out the layout by overrunning points. I approve of Picos. Of course you do. And RG
They're
Models
80
86. Yes, I know. We were just talking about that. Pico track is the best in my opinion, says RG Models. Yeah, and huge comprehensive range. I think, in the UK at least, it's easy to forget that Pico also cater for stuff outside of the UK. So their range of Code 83 HO specific track, where you've got a much denser sleeper, or should I say tie arrangement, is really pretty good for the US market. We've also got things like O16.5, or as Bachman would prefer us to call, NG7. Full range of track to cover that. We've got HOM to cover the Swiss and Austrian markets. A lot of different ranges to cover pretty much everything, and even up to like G scale, gauge 1, things like that, SM32. They've got a lot for your garden as well. Raymond Legg says, I've never had Pico Track, however I have had Pico Track. I think it's actually pronounced the same, but for ease of people knowing what I'm talking about, I'm gonna pronounce them as Pico, because otherwise we'll get really confused. Now the Cupboard Monkey is back, and
I'm trying my best to try and find the page in the Airfix catalogue that's about the about the flowers that they're doing. I can't find it. I know they are doing some.
flowers.
Yeah, they've got like flowers and plants and stuff.
Oh, is that like, because Lego introduced something similar where you can build plants out of Lego? Can I just say as well, is this the thing that came for an extra £1 when you bought the...
For an extra £1 when I bought the magazine, I got a mystery box of a model, and I thought it would be something like a starter thing or a quick build.
Something a bit cheesy, but
the
actually...
kind of thing that came in Lidl, and it wasn't. It was this.
What is it? Like, is this a Mustang?
I can't remember.
P40
or something like that. It's an American aircraft, and it's really, really nice.
I do like, and you've done a really good job actually painting and finishing this. We've got the decals on. It says US Army underneath. This is going to
P40. That's it. Yes, thank you, Zentech.
But is that a?
I need to finish painting the wheels. That's why I brought it up.
Oh, so the tyres need to be black, don't
Yes.
they? But is that all you need to? You've done the centres and the.
Yeah, that's all I've got still to do. I was going to put some of the extra decals on, then I thought actually there's no point because you won't see them and they're really fiddly, and I'll tear them.
Yeah. Aero Cobra says Yaharic. But Curtis Warhawk suggests Valley's 56X.
It is a Curtis, yes.
Curtis P40.
Yeah.
Peter Jackson Chile here says, Jenny, did you ever complete that challenge from Richard Brighton about using every scale piece of track? No, I didn't.
No, you didn't. You decided not to.
It wasn't that I decided not to. It's just
you chickened out.
I got sidetracked.
You bravely ran away. You bravely ran away.
Stop it. No, I didn't. Yes, it's only a scratch. Almond Bank Model Railway says, yes, my daughter has the Lego botanical sets as well. We'll tell her about the Airfix ones. Ooh. DJK666 says, I'm going to get hold of some Z-gauge track and send it to Jen. Oh, thank you so much. Actually, one of the things I saw in Sawyer Models on Saturday is he had one of the, is it the Bush Feldbahn HOF sets, and I think they run on Z-gauge track.
Curtis P40B Warhawk.
Yeah, so there we go.
That's it.
We're gonna stick that on a string somewhere above where.
I'm gonna paint the wheels first.
Yeah, well, you do that. You do.
I'm going to.
But I also need 016.5. I also need HO. Actually, no, we've got TT. That'll do. That's the same width. So we've got 009, HOM. Yeah, 00. That covers you for HO. To be honest, that covers you for 016.5. Z scale, definitely. What else do we need?
G scale.
No, I don't think I included that. I enjoyed the Lego flowers, says Sue at Pudham Junction. We'll have to take a look at the Airfix kits. Yeah, are they not in that catalogue? Because they sound really interesting. Was that from the IPMS show, Zoe? Asks Peter Jackson Chillerheath. And did you see that hologram disc fan? IPMS. What's IPMS? We haven't been to any shows recently.
I'm trying to think what it stands for. I can't remember.
RG Models 86 says, I've recently given in to temptation after 3 years and started collecting TT120 scale. Was it Oscar Wilde that says the only thing that I
can resist everything except temptation?
That was the one. Yes. So don't forget to tickle that like button. Consider sharing the stream to social media. Let people know that we are here. We are invincible. And we are also very inclusive.
International Plastic Modeler Society. Thank you.
Thank you, SHGP Media. Appreciate it. Peter Jackson Chile said Bolton on the 25th of January. Right.
We didn't go because we were busy.
That was the one at the Reebok Stadium, or whatever they're calling.
I think it's Macron at the moment, but it could be something
That
else.
sounds like a villain from Dan Dare, doesn't it?
It sounds like the president of France.
Autumn 2026, says Kingfisher. The flowers will be out. We'll have to look out for that. TJK666 says, speaking of pussies, how's the cat settling in at Weir Yard Towers? Very well, actually, yes. Well,
She's already decided this place is hers, and we just live here.
yeah, we're just staff. I will stroke my pussy later on tonight.
Jenny!
No, Lottie. Lottie is my pussy. I've given her a name. I bought a TT Easterner set, DCC and sound, for 130 quid, so bought another 3, says Griffey. That is actually a really good price, it must be said. Yes, people are laughing. I know. Double entendre. If you need a double entendre, I'll give you one. Right, so let's have another different angle. I want to show people the new angle. Give them the... There we go.
Angle of the dongle.
This angle I love. Sorry, I've been moving some of the cameras around a little bit, and this is the angle which I really, really love. Apparently, says Griffey, there are at least another 12 on sale for that price. Charlie Chimp, yes, like Mrs. Slocum's pussy. Ben Davis says, Jennifer, list of trains running. Y7 Rapido, 68089 goods train, 2 yellow Bill and Ben with fireless Guy Fawkes goods train, 3 LMS Crimson 5036 passenger, 4 BR Blue 35015 Hornby, one of the big SR 462 passenger. Yeah, is that one of the like East Asiatic line? RG Models 86 is the scenic backboard blends in great. Yes, that's one of. I've got another one here actually. ID back scenes, not sponsored, not been sent for review, just bought it because it's good. And you know, I always say to people, it's like, you know, I use products that are good. I review products that I think are good, and I use the products I review. But this, not sponsored, not been sent it, just bought it because ID back scenes. Well, you can see on there. If you look on the screen, that is how they look. That is a flat image. It's of Llanberis, but really does look good. So there we are. Ben Tullett asks Zoe, have you got the Moan Bingo ready for the Backman announcements?
No, I'm generating it on Tuesday night, ready for Wednesday morning. Don't worry, it will be there.
Livestream Nick, I thought Lake District as well, but it is actually Llanberis. And that is one of the ID back scenes range. Really, really nice, it must be said. Very, very pleased with them. They go on so easily. And I bought another one, and this is just sky and clouds, and I have plans.
Oh, yeah, you're going to use it for covering up the corner?
No, it's for going above the existing Les Cliff back scenes. So
that was it.
Effectively extending the sky upwards.
You're going to extend the sky, my goodness.
Yes. James Petts, as we all guessed he would, approves of Llanberis. RG Models 86 says, I'm hoping for a new 009 locomotive announcement from Backman. Yeah, actually, we've got 8 minutes left. So what are we hoping to see from Backman? Paul Grant says 35015 Rotterdam Lloyd. I think this is about the locomotive that's running, not what they're wanting to see from Backman.
Planet.
I don't think we're going to see any Era 1. Could be wrong, but my guess, my gut feeling is that they will use. They will leave Era 1 stuff to the likes of Hornby and Rapido.
Well, in that case, I would like to see TT120. Yeah, yes, Anthony, you're absolutely right. Thomas in TT120.
I guess they've got the license for Thomas. That would make sense. But in terms of the rest of the range, I think Backman have said that they've nailed their colours to the mast of N-Gauge through Graham Farish, 016.5 NG7 with the that range, 009, and they've also dabbled in O-Gauge for some of their scene craft, and they're kind of not. Well, you know, who knows? They might surprise us, but they kind of said, no, we'll leave it to other people. I would like to see 009. It's been neglected for too long. We've talked about this a lot. And what we need to see is another run of the Baldwins. Backman, are you listening? Baldwins, come on now. I've sent you that many photographs. Now, Hornby listened and put out the Class 10 in the livery that I've been bugging them with. They put out the Terrier in Isle of Wight Central that I bugged them to death with. They put out the Pug, the L&Y Pug, as Prince, that I bugged them with all the photos of. So, come on now, come on. All those liveries that I sent you pictures of, we need to see at least some of those. And I think eventually we will, but this, come on, the market, you can't get a Baldwin for love nor money. I think the NG7 range has been a bit neglected. With that, I guess the mainline Hunslet would be possibly a good bet, or maybe a small England. Now, would we see Prince, Princess, Palmerston, and Welsh Pony come from Backman in 009. Now that could really upset the apple
It really
cart.
needs something in 009. Last time we were at the Rattery train show,
Yeah.
the amount of layouts that had the same 3 locomotives on
Yeah.
was just ridiculous.
Yeah, DJK 666, absolutely. Welsh Highland Railway Russell in 009. I know a lot of people talk about the Garretts. I think the Garretts would be very expensive. You saw the price of the Class 13. You're looking at that kind of money for a Garrett. And my thoughts are that there are a lot of smaller, more affordable, more usable locomotives still to be done. I would like to see one of the War Department Hunslets. There are some of those 460s still in existence in preservation. So I think that they would make a good opportunity to do in model form. There's also quite a few from Statfold Barn. I'd love to see a Mallet 0440, like maybe one of the Ornstein and Klippel ones. But that's a bit selfish of me. I want that because a lot of the Javanese sugarcane railways had them. But, you know, there is a lot that they could do. RG Models 86 suggests the Earl and the Countess from the Welshpool and Llanfair Railway in 009 would be great to see. SHGP Media says N-Gauge Class 101 and other early DMUs. They cost a fortune second-hand and are hard to get. Kingfisher says Roco looked into a Garrett years ago for 009/HOE, and at the time it had the £300 price ticket suggested. Yeah, I think the Garrett may be slowly accelerating out of the price point that they would think is viable. Jennifer, never stop asking, says Ben Davis. Drummond T13 in London South Western Railway, Royal and P Green. Z-Class in, I think the Z-Class in general. London Southend and Tilbury Railway, number 79. Yeah, that's probably quite a good call. Preserved example. Some really interesting liveries, long-lasting. H16 or G16 from the London South Western Railway. Maybe Z-Class keeps coming up a lot. BR22 Conflats. And what are we looking at here? So,
This was for the next bit after you finished with what you were talking
oh
about.
right, I've got a little ways to go. So, quickly show off. These are some Wallings from Iron Horse Railways. Pick these up at Sawyer Models as well. You can get these from Sawyer Models.
It is the only place you can get them from.
It is the only place. Modular walls. There's a whole range of stuff that he does. So we're going to be, you'll see them turning up in future projects.
Not just future projects, you'll see them coming on Wednesday when the next JK2 episode comes out, because that's where we've moved our JK2 show to.
Griffey is asking for a Shay in 00/HO. There is one coming from KR Models. Yeah, your guess is as good as mine when it will actually hit the shops. I'm told that they're going into production, so, you know, make of that what you will. Andy Fry's Junction says we may take them to Doncaster this weekend.
All the Iron Horse stuff. Cool. And good luck to him, man, because what I've seen so far, Craig has got a good set of products.
Yeah.
And he's new to this.
Is it this weekend or the next week? When?
Doncaster's this weekend. You're there with your dad.
7th.
Yeah.
I thought it was the next weekend.
No, it's the 1st of February today.
Yeah.
Sorry, no, the 2nd of February today. The 7th is on Saturday.
Is it the 7th? Somebody tell me what date is Doncaster, because I've lost track. Really have lost track. Any updates on KR Models Big Breather, Jennifer? This is Ben Davis.
Is that Big Bertha?
Big Bertha. I think that probably is Big Bertha. No updates on Big Bertha, but I'm told that the Shay, Bellerophon are both angling in for, they may be in production or about to go into production, and the Mica B has left China along with the new range of concerts. So that's what I've been told. We'll wait and see. A lot of this stuff, wait and see. What dates have we got?
Doncaster is in 4 days, 12 hours, 29 minutes and 53 seconds.
So this weekend, yes. I will be there on the Saturday.
Provided she remembers.
Provided I remember. I'll be there with my father, and I'm there to take my father round to frisk the trade and such like. So just please bear in mind, it's Private Citizen Jenny this weekend. So do let me get round the show. I do love talking to you guys, but I do need to get round the show, and I will have my dad in tow. But yeah, will the new badges be available at Donny, says Peter Jackson should leave? I bloody hope so. We were hoping we'd actually physically have them here now, but
I am a little bit upset by how long it's taken.
They arrived in the UK at the beginning of January, but due to miscommunication and an invoice not being sent, so we didn't know what we were supposed to pay, and we did chase it repeatedly. It's taken a lot longer than wanted, but don't look. We will post on the Monday Club Facebook group. You will be the first to know. Right, anyway, in short, leave Jenny alone, says SHGP Media. Not quite. You can come and say hello. I'm more than happy to have quick chats, but please don't engage me in long conversations, because I do need to whip round the show. I'm only there for the day. But no, don't worry. I'm not going to go, oh, big gun, big gun. I'm not one of those sort of people. Right, anyway, but we've really quickly come to the end. I'd just like to thank again James Regier from Model Railroad Hobbyist magazine and James Regier Models, and our Amherst Model Railroad Hobby Show correspondent. Thank you so much for coming on tonight. It was an absolute pleasure to talk to you again, and really quite informative. If you missed any part of that, I want to see that again, you can go back after the stream is finished and re-watch all of that. Really quite an involved conversation. It was actually on longer than we normally get guests on by video phone. And yes, the time has absolutely flown. So just got time for me to say, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. And you can also check us out over on Patreon. Check out the full merch store. Check out the Monday Club Facebook group as well. And following on from tonight's live stream, we've got Gamehammer Classic Gaming's All Request Monday. What are you playing tonight?
Whatever people request.
What was that? Is that Air Assault Operation?
Oh yes, Operation Air Assault, or whatever it was that you bought.
Operation Air Assault 2, which we found over the weekend in Lee. Thank you so much, Simon Pitcher. Very, very kindly sent £9.99 on the super chat and says, "Good show, guys." Thank you so much. That is very, very generous
Oh my goodness,
of you.
thank
So
you.
Thank you so much for your generosity. Beth G165 says, see you at Donny on Saturday. Absolutely. I'll see everybody who's coming on Saturday. We will put up the bingo card, Ben Tullett, on the Monday Club Facebook group. So just look out for that. You will be getting a prompt to head on over to Gamehammer Classic Gaming or Request Monday. But from all of us here, for now, you guys take great care of yourself. Happy modelling. Bye for now. We've got our new outro? Or...
No, we haven't got a new outro.
We've got the old outro.
what you're worth. Grunk the 08 unsung hero. Diesel hard, but love is zero. Jenny sees your true intention. Endless work without a mention. Slow and steady, never flashy. In the yard where tracks are trashy. Jenny knows your secret song. To her, you're where you belong. Grunk it up, grunk it up. You're the one who fills the cup. Pull those wagons back and forth. Grunk it up for what you're worth. Grunk it up, you're the one who fills the cup. Pull those wagons back and forth. Grunk it up for what you're worth. Grunk it up. Grunk it up. Grunk it up. Hashtag not a cult.
Hey, wait a minute, you're not
Oh
supposed
no,
to...
you're back.
You're not supposed to put me on the screen. We're done for the night. So it's you'll get your opportunity to head on over to Gamehammer Classic Gaming. Just click the prompt. But for now, we have a word from our sponsor.
The train now departing is 2107 service to Bunsvardy, stopping at Mineth Tatis, Tatis Newydd, Mineth Tatis Newydd. Yes, there's 3 of them now. They seem to be growing. Bolton Trinity Road, Grove Street Yard, Eindhoven, Pittsburgh somehow, Packham on the back, Boxton on file, Boxton Junction, Forgotten on the Hill, that unnamed layout that Jerry said had a name until it didn't have a name, and then on to Bunsvardy. That's the, sorry, no, all change at 3 cocks for Lord Hereford's Knob, and then on to Bunsvardy. That's the 2107 service to Bunsvardy. If you go up to the loft today, you're sure of a big surprise. If you go up to the loft today, you'll never believe your eyes. For every train that ever was has gathered there together because today's the day that Jenny does the Monday Club. What did you say? Today's the day that Monday does the Jenny Club.
It does, yeah, in Russia. Monday does Jenny.
Oh dear. Right, I'm off to prepare for my show.
She's off to Butts farting. Yeah, take all your garbage away.
Hey. Jenny, she likes the trains, it's true. She likes locals, whether they're green or blue.
You say you're ready? Okay. So we're nearly ready to hand you off to Game Hammer Classic Gaming. And yes, that is the fireless locomotive that you've seen trundling around on the main line, where fireless locomotives would pretty much never go. But it is fully sound fitted from Rapido, and you'll get a full video review on that coming up on Friday. A huge thank you to our guest tonight, James Regier, our correspondent from Amherst Model Railroad Hobby Show over in New England, one of the biggest, if not the biggest show in the US. We had it live from one of the people on the ground, one of the big movers and shakers in the US. He's one of the people behind Model Railroad Hobbyist magazine. We shared some links for that. And James Regier Models. So do check him out over on Facebook. But for now, we've just got time to say thank you so much for joining us. And we'll be back next Monday with another Monday Club. Until then, you guys take great care of yourself. Happy modelling. Bye for now.